Hello everyone, and on this episode of Mrs. Mess Hall, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make these wonderfully easy Madeleine French cookies. So what's great about these is it doesn't require a lot of specific ingredients, so everyone should have everything already in their pantry. So we're going to start with buttering and flouring a shell pan. And this is going to help prevent the cookies from sticking. So I just take a stick of butter and I rub it along the pan. And then once I get enough coated on the pan, I just use my fingers and I make sure I get in the divots of each section. Then we're just going to take a little bit of flour and coat each cookie space, and then I'm just going to shake the pan, make sure that every spot is covered, and then we're going to just flip it over and bang it on the table, because you don't want, like a lot of flour once you go to put your cookie batter in the molds, because then the outside of your cookies are just going to taste like flour. So you just want enough to coat the pan, and that's it. So as you can see, I'm just turning it over and lightly banging it on my table. And you should have a pan that looks just like this. Now we're going to go ahead and take our butter, and this is going to be a stick of butter, and we're going to melt it in the microwave. And then we're just going to set it aside because we want it to cool before we get to adding it to our batter. Now in a mixer with the paddle attachment, we're going to add our eggs, vanilla, and salt. And we're just going to whip this until it just becomes light and frothy. And you'll see what I mean. I'll show you once we get there. And I just have my mixer set on a medium setting. Now we're going to zest a whole lemon. And if you don't have a zester like I do, you can honestly just use a fine grate setting on a cheese grater and you'll get the same result. Now we're going to slowly add our sugar to our froth eggs. So you see how it's like really light and bubbly? Now we're going to slowly add our sugar. You don't want to add it all at once because it's going to deflate your eggs. And then your batter is just going to have to work twice as hard to get the air that it needs. This would actually be the same process if you were making a meringue, obviously just with egg whites, but you always want to start mixing your eggs or your egg whites first, so that way they already have a little bit of air incorporated into them before you start adding anything else. Anything else that you're adding to your batter is going to weigh it down, preventing it from getting as much air beat into it that you need. So we're almost done adding the sugar. You see how long it's taking me? I'm just slowly sprinkling it in as the batter is beating. So once we got all that sugar added in, we're going to go ahead and sift our flour into a separate bowl. And you just want your flour to become nice and light because, like I said, these are very light cookies. So this is going to get folded into the batter that we're beating. And we, again, don't want to lose any air to our batter. So everything that we're adding has to be very light. So after about 2 minutes, your batter should look like this. And this is just the eggs, the sugar, vanilla, and salt. So we haven't added the flour yet, and you see how light that is and how as it's turning the batter is ribboning. This is what you want. So now we're going to pull the bowl off of the mixer and just scrape the sides down. And getting the bowl ready, we're going to add in a third of our flour and fold it into the batter. And we want to make sure that we're keeping as much air in this batter as we can. So we got to move very slowly and very lightly as we're folding this flour into our batter. So of course you're going to lose some air just as you're adding, you know, the rest of your ingredients. So now we're going to add our lemon zest, and then we're going to add our melted butter. So your melted butter should be relatively cool by now, and we're just going to add all that in at once, and then we're going to fold it in one last time. So our batter has lost some volume. Like I said, that's normal, but it's still, you see how light it is and how airy that batter still is? This is what you're looking for. Now we're just gonna gently spoon the batter into our cookie molds, and once we have all of our cookie molds filled, I just gently shake the pan to get the batter to fill the edges of each space, and we're gonna go ahead and put them in the oven to bake. So these cookies only take like between 10 to 15 minutes in the oven, so they bake really fast, which is really great because that means you can eat them sooner. So I went ahead and put them on a cooling rack, and then you can just gently push them out of their molds. So with the butter and the flour, they should pop out relatively easily. So, and this next step is totally optional, but it makes them taste delicious. I went ahead and dusted half of my cookies with just some powdered sugar, and now I'm gonna melt some chocolate for the other half, and I'm just gonna dip half of the cookie in some semi-sweet chocolate, and let me say, it really makes them just taste divine. So, and once you have your chocolate melted, you can just go ahead and start dipping your cookies. I just went ahead and dipped them like on a diagonal angle just for appearance sake. But I mean, you can get creative with your designs, do whatever you like. And I just went ahead and popped these in the fridge once I was done to get the chocolate to set, and then they were just perfect. Well, there you have it. This is probably the easiest French cookie you will ever attempt to make. So why not try? Thank you for watching my video. If you like this one, please hit that subscribe button and check out the rest of my channel and the rest of my videos.